resources available to you. Let's just start talking about more people that are in, our age group. We have kids. Some of us are looking at the end of our retirements, and we're not sure what we should be doing at this point. Can you give us some tips on what it would be for us to look at a, refinancing or financing a new home?
Well, Cricket, I think in our market now, as you mentioned, with what's going on with the economy, we've seen record climb in interest rates, but at one level, it's higher than where it had been, but then it had been at phenomenally low levels, never seen before. So we're really kind of where it was, 6-7 years ago, which were still at 30-year lows historically. So it's still a great time to buy. It's still cheap money when buying. But what I'm seeing that's unfortunate is a lot of people are renting and not fulfilling that desire to buy a home, call it their house for years or decades, and raising their families there, because they're talking themselves out of buying because of things that have been planted in their heads or they've heard, and it's discouraging them from even making the effort to reach out, call, evaluate their credit and their debt to income ratios and see if they qualify. I mean, I'll give you a prime example. I was doing a loan for somebody I was introduced to by a realtor in California, and they'd been paying a credit repair company for 2 years straight, like $150 a month for 2 years. So you do the math on that, quite a chunk of money, probably $5,000. But anyway, they spent all this money and they never got their score up. They were at like a 590 FICO score, trying to get over 620 so they qualify for certain loan programs. And so I pulled credit, and I run a program after I pull credit, and tells me what steps they need to do to get their score up 30 points, 40 points. And I send them the printouts of that, had a conversation with them over the phone. They did the steps, and they were very simple steps, and it wasn't a lot of money. Everybody has in their mind, I must pay all my debts off, then miraculously my score will go up. And trying to pay all your debts off, if it's $20,000 or what have you, that's an astronomical amount to come up with. But in their case, they only had to come up with about a third of that or a fourth of that just to get the score up high enough that we could make them home buyers. So they just, in many cases, just need to evaluate their situation, not talk themselves out of it without even putting the steps forward to try to attempt. Okay, because applying online with me, it's free. Pulling credit, I pay for that cost up front. So there's no risk involved in taking a look at what you qualify for, me evaluating your taxes and your W-2s and pay stubs, depending on if you're self-employed or you're self-employed entrepreneur. We have homes for every type of loan, every type of situation. So I think it would be ideal that folks not just absorb this I don't know what the word is for, astronomical climb in rents.
Yeah.
Rents are at all-time lows. I mean, highs, excuse me, said that backwards. But they've never seen rents like this before. And I'm not talking about this in the state of Arizona, nationwide. And it's a shame. So I would like to really try to help families in that area, especially Sounds of Autism, with children of autism. My daughter's a child of autism. You have so many moving parts of your life going on with an autistic child, just sometimes you get so busy, you get discouraged and think, I don't have time to do all this paperwork. I don't have time to do these steps. But sometimes I can take the ball and run with it for you if we just launch that process and get it going.
Stephen, I think it's, you just made a comment and you corrected yourself that it was the all-time low versus an all-time high. And I started, chuckling a little bit, to be honest, because I say the same thing. We were talking so long and we were all so excited about the housing market and just the craziness. I mean, whoever would have thought something like that? But I think people in the back of their minds kept saying, how long is this going to last? How long is this going to last? But I can tell you that today, as a society, because of the fall way back in 2008, 2009, I think people are a little bit more cautious about how they do things. And so you're absolutely right that, you know, you see these beautiful luxury apartments going up in your neighborhood. We all do. Everybody sees it. It's one of the biggest businesses out there. And people are, you know, falling for it. Like they want to go do that because they think, oh, what an easy life. I have a pool. I have a bar out by my pool. Every day I come home, it's a party with my neighbors. What a great life. But we both know, especially having autistic children, that that lifestyle doesn't work with those types of kids because it's too much.
Right.
And for families, especially those that are going to have to endure some extra costs to get help for their child, the therapies that are involved and all those kind of things, you know, being particular about the way you plan your life for the rest of your life is very important. And I know Stephen understands this. You know, he helped us for many, many years, you know, with Sounds of Autism. And when we talked a little bit more about Prime Broker, you know, Stephen's very knowledgeable with how to get around some of these things that might be the purpose of why you're not, or the reason why you're not getting into a home. And I can tell you firsthand that he helped us through those things and we were able to do it. And, you know, my husband and I were dual income and we did pretty well, but there's still those little things that might hurt your credit report where if you just pay something off, something small, instead of paying off, you know, this particular person, that might be the one thing that sets you apart to get that home that you're in need of and you're looking for. And Stephen has a group that he works with. There's a lady by the name of Nancy who works with him and she sells homes. So if you're looking for a realtor that understands raising a child with a special need, or law enforcement, or just somebody that has a kind of a protected lifestyle, you know, feel free to reach out to Stephen or myself at Sounds of Autism, and we can help guide you on finding the realtors and finding the people that can help support you and get you the financial support that you need to be able to get yourself to that point to be able to buy that home. Now, Stephen, we talked about that before, but we also talked about, you know, I have a daughter. She just finished college, and her boyfriend who finished college, and they both have, you know, a pretty nice job with a good starting salary, yet they're looking to start their first home purchase and they have no idea where to start or how that even works. So can you give us a little feedback on that process?
Yeah, I'd be glad to, Cricket. In their situation, I think the first step would be I call them, they call me, we have a conversation, kind of assess their goals, what they're looking to buy, where they're looking to live, and what kind of price break it is. And then, you know, important thing is to try to figure out what someone's comfortable paying, because if they've been paying rent at a certain level, and now they're going to become a home buyer, I have to educate them on here's your monthly payment, and also you will be paying property taxes monthly and homeowners insurance protect a house from fire or damage. And so educating them, since they are going to be novice learning as quickly as they can, though they're young and have super good brains, so I'm sure they'll be absorbing everything quite well. But it's just educating them. And then another hurdle for them sometimes is because they're young, they just got out of college, they may not have but 1, 2, or 0 trade lines on their credit report. So they don't always show a, sometimes I've had people not show a FICO because they don't have enough trade lines, because it doesn't show the ability to borrow and pay back, borrow and pay back. So sometimes we have to take a look at maybe having them add it to a parent or somebody's credit card as an authorized user so they can piggyback off that credit. So there's different ways to try to help them establish credit at a quicker pace than opening up a credit card and waiting a year to have a 1-year history of a credit card. So it's just walking them through the baby steps and answering any and all questions they might have, and then putting them in touch with a realtor, getting them a pre-approval letter for the price point they are looking for to pay monthly, and then having a realtor then take a look at the price that they qualify for, and then giving them houses in the area they want to buy in, be near for work or family or whatever the case may be. So it's just streamlining it to fit what their needs are and what they're looking to obtain.
And Stephen, one of the things that I think of now is the interest rates they say are, astronomical, which we both know that's not the case because we've seen them worse than this, right?
Oh, yeah.
But one of the things that I encourage people to look at when I'm speaking to them about this type of stuff is, having a home and being a homeowner, it's a tax shelter for you. So at the end of the year, when you're writing off, different things on your taxes, that money might not be something you have today in your pocket, but you could always reobtain that money at the end of the year when you're doing this, or pay less in taxes because you have these tax shelters. And people don't always put that information into their equation when they're figuring this out. And I say that because I'll see individuals who don't want to buy a house because maybe they have to pay an assessment that's $100 more than they're willing to pay, or they don't have the down payment, or whatever it may be, but yet they're driving a very expensive car with a very high interest rate because that's, luxury to them. I encourage you to reassess the way you navigate your financial system so that you can have this home. And maybe that car comes at a later time once you've established yourself, because this big purchase that you're making, that'll be a lifetime of purchases. Because once you own, you'll probably stay owning for a very long time. As a matter of fact, you'll probably want to own more than one because there's a lot of positives to ownership. So I don't know how you feel about what I just said, but I believe that to be true. What do you think, Stephen?
Well, the car, the moment you drive off the lot, as they say, drops a ton in value. A home appreciates and appreciates. So you may buy a home for whatever, $400,000, and you pay and live in that home for 2 years, 3 years. Then you get a larger family and you want to sell and buy a bigger house, and that house is appreciated. Maybe it's worth 75, 100,000 more than what you paid. Now you have a larger down payment on your next home purchase. You benefited from writing all that interest paid off on your taxes, helping you get a refund or owe less, whatever the situation is with your CPA. And you benefited from the home appreciating in value, far greater gains probably than most 401ks with the appreciation in value. And it's just a windfall way of saving money without saving money if you have your money delegated elsewhere and doing other things in life. So to me, it's a great vehicle to gain home ownership, pride of home ownership, build the house exactly how you want. If you want to change things inside, when you're renting, you can't tear down a wall or do anything extravagant. But when you're a homeowner, you can, as long as you get an engineer to make sure you're not tearing down a main beam of your house.
Yeah.
But other than that, you can change anything once you're the owner of that home. So I think it's this intricate step in a young person's life. I wish I'd bought homes sooner in my life, in my 20s, like your daughter wants to buy, instead of talking myself out of it till way later on. So.
Well, and Stephen, you just said it. Let's say you get into a home situation and you lose your job and you don't have the ability to continue working or living there because you don't have a job. You can turn around as a homeowner and rent that home. And it can become a residual income to you until you are able to replace your job. So there's a lot of ways to use this, what I call a life tool, so that you can help support yourself, or you turn around and you sell it and now you've made some equity in your home. Like there's different things that you can do where if you're a renter, you're not able to do any of those things, and your money is never a return on its investment. And so I encourage everybody to take a look at it. Stephen will sit with you. He's very patient. And if it's not your time, if you do not have the ability at this time to put money down or do the things that are necessary to purchase these homes, Stephen will work with you day and night. I promise you, day and night, and he will find ways to help you get to your result the fastest. And it may not be this year, but if you work hard, it'll be a year from now. And so I encourage you, and it doesn't matter if you just graduated, if you're thinking about graduating next year, or you're, a 30-year home owner that thinks, oh, my interest rate will be too high. Yeah, but for how long? We've seen the market fluctuate all the time. So you might pay a year worth of 5 or 6%, but maybe you know, a year later you're paying 1 or 2%. We never know. And it's worth taking that opportunity, that chance, because at least you have an investment that can make you money if you need it to. Stephen, I don't know if you have anything you want to add. I would love to hear.
Just one thing briefly. I mean, a lot of people have in their mind it takes a great deal, a lot of money to put down, but you know, you can receive gift funds from family, friends, well, not friends, but family giving you gift funds. You know, down payment can be as low as 3%, 3.5% down of the purchase price. So for every $100,000, if you're putting 3.5% down, that's $3,500. So depending on what your price point is, you know, you can get into a house for like 15,000 down, and it can be all gift funds if you have some generous or loving relatives. And if not, there's some opportunities for down payment assistance programs, but we can talk about that in another podcast. But that's start the process, and it would at least give you a plan for the future. If it's not your time now in a month or less, 2 months or less, at least you have a plan that will get you there in 6 months or 12 months from now if you start doing the steps necessary.
Thank you, Stephen. I really appreciate it. I think that, you know, Sounds of Autism spends a lot of time vetting safe and you know, just really good resources and support solutions. And this has been one of the many that we have felt comfortable. We've referred law enforcement, first responders, families that are raising special needs kids to Stephen, educators. I mean, you name it, we refer him because we know that he will take the time to answer any and all questions that you have. And he's not just going to walk away and say, I can't do anything for you. If that's the case, he'll be upfront with you, but most of the time he figures it out. So we encourage you to meet with Stephen. If you look at the bottom of our screen, you can see Stephen Smith, Loan Officer, Prime Broker Loans, LLC. His phone number, 310-309-9900. And Stephen, do you have an extension?
No, that's my direct line. And perfect. I tend to answer almost 90% of the time unless I'm on another call.
Okay, guys, it's Stephen Smith, the loan guy at gmail.com. Reach out to him and just ask any questions you might have, but think about Stephen before you think about renting. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Stephen, thank you.
Thank you, Cricket. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.